You ever notice how the moment you stop caring, women start noticing you? It's almost unfair, isn't it? You can spend months trying to say the right thing, text the perfect line, act chill but not too chill, and she still treats you like background noise. But the second you stop trying, she starts playing with her hair, teasing you, asking questions she didn't before. That's not luck, that's polarity. That's what happens when a man finally shuts up long enough for his energy to speak louder than his words. Here's the truth. No one tells you you don't get a woman to flirt with you by being clever. You get her to flirt by being felt, by saying less, but meaning every syllable, by standing there like you've got nothing to prove. And yet everything about you says, I know who I am. Women don't flirt with boys who chase, they flirt with men who make them wonder. They don't want lines, they want a feeling. The kind that hits deep enough to make them question why their pulse just changed. Most men will never figure that out. They'll keep memorizing pickup lines, thinking seduction is about words. But here's the twist. Every line that works only works because of the man behind it. The tone, the silence, the calm, the way he doesn't break eye contact when she tests him. That's what flips the dynamic. That's what makes her start the game. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, not by teaching you to chase, but by teaching you how to lead without moving. So keep watching, because once you understand this, you'll never text the same way again. You'll never walk into a room the same way again. And when she starts flirting with you first, you'll realize it was never about the line. It was about the man saying it. Line 1, you've got dangerous eyes. You know that, right? Most men think flirting begins with flattery. But the moment you compliment a woman, you place her above you. You give her a throne she didn't earn. The weak man worships beauty. The strong man names it calmly, playfully, and without losing his ground. When you say, you've got dangerous eyes, you know that, right? You're not complimenting you, you're calling out energy. You're not admiring her, you're challenging her. That's the difference between attraction and approval. The average man says, you're beautiful. The magnetic man says, you're dangerous. One puts her on a pedestal, the other pulls her into the dance. You see, women are used to being admired. It's background noise. They can feel flattery before you even open your mouth. But very few men have the composure to notice beauty without being enslaved by it. When you use this line properly, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. Low tone, slight smirk, eye contact that doesn't waver. It's the energy of a man who's seen beauty before and isn't fazed by it. Because here's the secret, a woman doesn't want to feel beautiful. She wants to feel seen. And the man who can acknowledge her allure while staying completely centered, that's the man she flirts with. Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. In that moment, she is the outside event. She's the chaos, the test. And your ability to stay calm, to speak lightly but with weight, proves you have control over your mind and therefore your reality. That's what makes her pulse change. That's why her body leans closer, because your steadiness becomes the anchor to her emotion. Women don't consciously think, he's confident. They feel it in the way you don't rush, don't fumble, don't justify. Your pause speaks louder than your words. Let me paint you a scene. Picture a man named Lucas, 38, calm, self-contained. He meets a younger woman at a cafe. She's stunning, playful, clearly used to attention. He looks up once, locks eyes for a moment too long, and when she notices, he doesn't look away. She smirks. He leans back and says quietly, you've got dangerous eyes. You know that, right? There's a pause. Her face shifts, a mix of surprise and intrigue. For once, someone saw her not as something to conquer, but as something to respect and contain. She laughs, but her voice changes softer now. In that moment, polarity is born. The psychology behind this is simple but powerful. The feminine craves containment, emotional leadership. When you tell a woman she's dangerous, you're letting her know that you see her wildness, but you're not afraid of it. You're saying, I see the storm, and I'm not moving. That's what triggers attraction. It's not dominance, it's presence. It's the subtle message that you could handle her chaos without needing to control it. That's what flirting really is, energy meeting resistance. Her chaos pushing against your calm, her curiosity testing your center, and the man who can hold that tension with a smile becomes unforgettable. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Most men waste their energy chasing women instead of anchoring themselves. They try to impress, to prove, to convince. But the moment you learn to simply be, to hold stillness in the presence of beauty, you flip the entire script. You stop chasing women and start attracting their attention without effort. You stop seeking flirtation and start becoming the kind of man who invites it. Because a woman's instinct isn't logical, it's energetic. When your energy says, "I could have you, but I don't need to," she starts chasing. So the next time you see that glimmer in her eyes, don't compliment it. Name it, smile slightly, hold eye contact and say, "You've got dangerous eyes, you know that, right?" Then stop, let the silence do the work. Because in that pause, she'll feel the pull. Not because you were clever, but because you were calm. Not because of the line, but because of the man behind it. Line 2, "You look like trouble I could handle." Every man wants to appear confident, but most men confuse confidence with control. They try to suppress tension, to stay perfectly polite, perfectly proper, perfectly predictable, and then wonder why women feel nothing. The truth is, flirting is built on controlled tension. It's a spark contained by calm. And this line, "You look like trouble I could handle," is the perfect embodiment of that energy. It's not a compliment, it's a challenge. It tells her, "I see your wildness, and I'm not intimidated by it." It's the verbal equivalent of holding eye contact while the world burns. You see, women don't want to be worshipped. They want to be contained, not controlled, contained. There's a difference. Control tries to limit the feminine. Containment allows it to expand safely. When you say this line with composure, what you're really saying is, "I can handle the emotional fire you bring." And that's the essence of polarity. The masculine gives structure, the feminine brings energy. Without structure, energy burns itself out. Without energy, structure becomes lifeless. When you find that balance, you're calm, meeting her chaos, flirting becomes inevitable. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When she flirts, she's the outside event. She's the chaos you can't predict. And the moment you can stay calm in that storm, not dull, not detached, but alive and steady, she feels it. She starts testing, teasing, leaning in, not because she wants to break you, but because she wants to feel you. The test is the attraction. The pushback is the invitation. When you respond with calm humor instead of insecurity, you show her you're not a boy pretending to be strong, you're a man who already is. Let me show you what that looks like. Picture a man named Aaron, mid-40s, divorced, sharp, stoic. He's at a dinner party, and across the table sits a younger woman, radiant, confident, playful. She teases him about being too serious. Most men would flinch or defend themselves, but Aaron leans back, smirks, and says, "You look like trouble I could handle." Her laughter changes. It's no longer polite, it's flirtatious. Her body turns toward him. She's intrigued. Why? Because he didn't defend his seriousness, he turned it into edge. He didn't crumble under her energy, he redirected it. That's masculine containment. That's flirting without effort. The psychology behind this is ancient. The feminine tests for strength not through logic, but through emotional turbulence. She wants to feel your ability to lead under pressure. Every tease, every challenge, every laugh is a probe. Can you hold me here when you respond with playfulness? When your tone stays calm but charged, you answer that question without words. That's why this line is so effective. It gives her something to push against. It awakens her curiosity. It creates a rhythm, her energy rises. Yours steadies, her chaos expands. Your calm deepens. That's the dance of polarity. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." The man who can flirt without fear, who can stand in tension without needing approval, is the freest man alive, because his value doesn't depend on her reaction. He can play because he's not performing. He can tease because he doesn't need to be taken seriously. That's the secret of masculine playfulness. It's not immaturity, it's mastery. You don't flirt to get validation. You flirt to express freedom, and women feel that. They feel when your energy is untethered, when your calm isn't rehearsed, but earned. So when you say, "You look like trouble I could handle," don't rush it. Let your tone do the heavy lifting. Slight smirk. Pause. Let her eyes meet yours, because in that pause, she'll feel your steadiness. She'll feel the gravity in your stillness. And whether she admits it or not, that's the moment she starts flirting back. Because flirting isn't about pursuit, it's about polarity. The stronger your center, the more her energy bends around it. Line 3, "You seem hard to impress." That's good. Most men chase validation. They hear a woman talk about her career, her style, her confidence, and immediately jump to admiration. That's amazing. They say, "Wow, you're so smart." Every compliment they give is another brick in the pedestal they build for her. But the moment you place a woman above you, she loses the instinct to chase you. Because a woman only flirts up, never down. Respect is horizontal, but attraction is vertical. She can like you, admire you, even appreciate your effort, but if she doesn't feel your discernment, she can't feel polarity. This line, "You seem hard to impress," that's good, flips the script entirely. It signals that you see her worth, but you're not hypnotized by it. You're recognizing her standard without surrendering your own. It's subtle, but psychologically devastating in the best way possible, because what you're really saying is, "I'm not trying to earn you. I'm evaluating if you meet me." That reversal shifts her from emotional comfort to emotional curiosity. She starts to wonder what you value, what you notice, what kind of woman could impress you. That's when the chase begins. Have you ever met a woman who seemed unfazed by your compliments? The kind of woman who smiles politely. But you can tell she's heard it all before. Every man falls over himself trying to win her attention, but she stays detached. Why? Because none of them make her feel tension. They all try to prove they're worthy. No one makes her prove she is. That's why this line works. It doesn't flatter her, it frames her. It says, "I respect your strength, but I'm not submitting to it." It's masculine recognition without emotional surrender. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." The masculine man understands this. He knows that no matter how radiant a woman appears, what matters most is how she feels in his presence, not how she performs. By saying, "You seem hard to impress," that's good. You're revealing a standard rooted in awareness, not arrogance. You're showing her that your attention isn't automatic, it's earned, and that instantly separates you from the crowd. Because most men give their attention like children give candy, freely and without thought. The rare man gives it like a gift, intentional, controlled, and rare. Let's take a real-world story. A man named Ethan, 37, self-made, quiet confidence. He's at a small gathering. Across the room, a woman commands attention, confident, elegant, every man circling her orbit. Ethan notices her, but doesn't rush. When she finally approaches, she expects the same reaction she always gets: awe, flattery, worship. Instead, he studies her for a moment and says, "You seem hard to impress." That's good. Her posture shifts. She tilts her head, laughs nervously. "Why's that good?" she asks. He replies, "Because it means you've seen enough to know what's real." Boom. Polarity. The hunter just became the hunted. The psychology here is profound. Women crave emotional movement. They want to feel like they're earning something. When you remove all challenge, when you give validation too easily, you take away the chase. But when your energy communicates calm, discernment, when your words carry restraint instead of approval, she feels tension. because now she's the one performing for you. She starts adjusting her energy. Her eyes soften, her tone changes, because for the first time, she's not the one deciding, she's being decided about. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." The same truth applies here. When you crave her validation, you reveal emotional poverty. When you can appreciate her without needing her, you radiate abundance. And that's what draws her in, because abundance is magnetic. A woman can sense it instantly. The man who doesn't need her attention commands it. The one who chases it loses it. So the next time you talk to a woman who's used to attention, don't feed the script. Don't compete with the noise. Slow your tone. Smile faintly. Look at her like you're reading a mystery. Then say, "You seem hard to impress, that's good." Watch her energy shift. The flirtation that follows won't come from charm, it'll come from tension. Because you've reminded her of something she forgot. She doesn't impress you simply by existing. She'll have to earn it. And that's what ignites her feminine instinct to pursue. Line 4, "Don't look at me like that, I might start believing you." Every woman has a look, that playful glance she gives when she's testing your center. It's not always about attraction. Sometimes it's about curiosity. Sometimes about power. She's saying, "Let's see if you'll flinch." And most men do. They either freeze up, break eye contact, or rush to fill the silence with words. But a real man doesn't react. He redirects. That's where this line comes in. "Don't look at me like that, I might start believing you." It's light, it's teasing, but underneath it, it carries power. It tells her, "I see what you're doing. I'm not falling for it, but I might let you think I am." That's how you take her energy and turn it into flirtation. You see, the feminine flirts through tension, through little tests of control. A raised eyebrow, a smirk, a long stare. She's trying to pull emotion out of you to see if you'll give your center away. The weak man takes the bait. The grounded man smiles and returns the energy playful, calm, detached. When you say this line, you're doing exactly that. You're acknowledging her power without surrendering to it. You're showing that you can meet her gaze without being hypnotized by it. And that subtle balance, that dance between resistance and acceptance, is the essence of masculine polarity. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The way she looks at you is an outside event. You can't control it, but you can control what you give back. And that's what separates you from every other man she's met. Most men either fold under her energy or overcompensate with bravado. You, on the other hand, stay playful. You show her that she can test you, tease you, even tempt you, but she'll never shake you. That's the emotional equilibrium that draws her deeper, because she doesn't want to win. She wants to feel the game. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Imagine a man named Dante, late 30s, sharp, self-contained. He's out with friends when a younger woman across the table starts teasing him about his mysterious vibe. The other guys jump in, laughing, encouraging him to say something. Dante doesn't rush. He looks at her, eyes calm, lips slightly curved. "Don't look at me like that," he says quietly. "I might start believing you." She freezes for half a second, caught off guard. Then she laughs, that real laugh, the one that breaks through her facade. In that moment, the dynamic shifts completely. She's no longer leading the interaction, he is. The psychology is subtle but profound. When you tease her back without aggression, you show emotional dominance. You reveal that her attempts to control the frame don't work on you, and that makes you infinitely more attractive. Because the feminine doesn't actually want to control the masculine. She wants to feel its edge. She wants to sense that no matter what she does, flirt, challenge, provoke, you'll stay grounded, unshaken, playful. That's what builds trust and desire at the same time. Your calm becomes the arena where her emotion can safely play. Seneca once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every flirtation is a small trial, a test of your composure. The friction she creates isn't a threat, it's an invitation. And this line allows you to respond to that invitation without losing your edge. You're not ignoring her energy. You're acknowledging it with calm amusement. You're saying, I see your game and I can play it better. That's what turns an ordinary conversation into magnetic chemistry. So when she gives you that look, the one that lingers a moment too long, don't rush to compliment her. Don't look away like a boy caught staring. Stay still. Let her feel your gaze just as much as you feel hers. Then smile, slow and knowing, and say, don't look at me like that, I might start believing you. Watch her expression change. You've just flipped the polarity. She started the game. You took control without ever raising your voice. And that's what makes her start chasing your reaction, because she can feel, deep down, that you're the kind of man who can hold her fire without getting burned. Line 5, you talk like someone who's used to getting her way. Every man has a moment when he's standing in front of a woman who knows her power, not just her beauty, but the influence that comes with it. She knows she can get attention, shift energy, command reactions with a smile, and most men crumble under that energy. They start overperforming, agreeing too much, laughing too quickly, validating every word she says. They're not speaking from strength, they're negotiating for approval, and women can smell that from a mile away. The moment you start performing for her, you become another audience member in her show. But this line, you talk like someone who's used to getting her way, flips that dynamic completely. It's calm, observational, but carries a quiet edge. It acknowledges her power while subtly challenging it. You're not intimidated, you're interested. You're not defying her, you're studying her. That's the difference between confrontation and command. When you deliver this line correctly, you're showing her that you see her strength and you're still unmoved by it. And that's what fascinates her, because a woman can't respect a man who submits, and she can't love a man she doesn't respect. Most men misunderstand feminine confidence. They think confidence in a woman means she wants to dominate. It doesn't. It means she's waiting for someone strong enough not to fold. The feminine rises to meet resistance. It doesn't bloom in comfort. When you say, you talk like someone who's used to getting her way, you're not insulting her. You're creating friction. You're offering her what no one else does, emotional gravity. Because while other men flatter her for her charm, you reflect her back to herself. You make her self-aware. You make her feel seen in a way that bypasses her ego and hits her instinct. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's what this moment is, a gentle impediment, a pause in her usual script. You've become the first man to interrupt her rhythm without hostility, to offer resistance without aggression. The result: her energy shifts, her tone softens, her flirtation deepens, because now she's not the one leading, you are. She starts testing, not to overpower you, but to feel where your edge is. And that's where polarity ignites, in that exact space between play and power. Let me give you an image. A man named Ryan, 41, a quiet presence, self-assured. He's having a drink with a younger woman who's stunning, articulate, clearly used to attention. She tells a story, animated, expressive, with a smile that fills the room. Ryan listens, steady. When she finishes, expecting the usual, "That's amazing," he tilts his head slightly and says, "You talk like someone who's used to getting her way." She freezes for a beat, then smiles differently, this time slower. Intrigued. "Is that a bad thing?" she asks. He leans in just slightly, voice low, "Depends on what you want." The silence that follows says more than words ever could. The psychology behind this is primal. The feminine tests for boundaries because boundaries create safety. When you set a boundary through tone, not rules, you communicate depth. You show that your approval can't be bought with beauty or charm. You're signaling that you see through the surface. That's what makes her relax and open up, because a woman can only surrender to a man she can't manipulate. And when your presence communicates calm authority, you stop being the nice guy and start becoming the frame. She begins to revolve around your energy instead of controlling it. Seneca wrote, "Self-control is strength. Right thought is mastery. calmness is power. That's the entire essence of this line. It's calm power, the kind that doesn't raise its voice or flex its muscles. You don't challenge her to dominate, you challenge her to connect. You invite her to show who she is when her usual patterns don't work. And that's what sparks something new in her curiosity. She starts flirting differently, softer, slower, more invested, because now, for the first time in a long time, she's not in control, and she doesn't want to be. So when you use this line, don't smirk too much. Don't deliver it like a player, deliver it like a man who's seen power before and isn't impressed by it. Look her in the eyes and say, "You talk like someone who's used to getting her way." Then pause. Let her wonder if you're amused or serious, because in that moment of uncertainty, you create space, and in that space, attraction lives. You've just done what most men can't. You've made her feel her feminine energy in the presence of a man strong enough to meet it. Line 6, let's see if you're as interesting as you look. Most men crumble under beauty. They see a stunning woman and lose all sense of rhythm. They rush to fill the silence, to prove they belong, to validate her existence in hopes she'll validate theirs. But beauty doesn't reward desperation. It rewards direction. The men who hold a woman's attention the longest are never the ones who praise her first. They're the ones who challenge her subtly, like they're testing a reflection in still water. That's what this line does. Let's see if you're as interesting as you look. It's not arrogance, it's balance. You're acknowledging her appeal while calmly asserting your own worth. You're saying, "I see your surface. Now show me the depth." You see, the feminine instinctively tests for hierarchy. She wants to know where you stand above her energy or beneath it. Every word, every pause, every glance is a quiet tug-of-war for emotional position. The average man surrenders instantly. The grounded man holds frame. This line flips that test around. It tells her, "I don't chase beauty, I evaluate it. You've just turned the game inside out." And when you say it slowly, with a faint smirk, she feels that you're not impressed by appearances. You're looking for something real, and that's a language very few men speak anymore. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What you think of yourself stains every word you say." A man who secretly feels unworthy will always sound like he's trying too hard, even if he uses perfect words. But a man who knows his worth can say something as simple as this line, and it lands like gravity, because your tone, your stillness, your energy all communicate abundance. You're not trying to be chosen, you're choosing. And that subtle shift from chasing to evaluating changes how every woman perceives you. Let's make it real. Picture a man named Victor, mid-40s, successful, grounded, with that quiet edge of someone who's lived. He's talking to a younger woman at an event. She's used to admiration. Her beauty is obvious, and every man treats her like a queen, but Victor doesn't flinch. He listens, nods once, and after a beat says, "Let's see if you're as interesting as you look." She laughs, unsure whether to be flattered or intrigued. For the first time, someone didn't melt under her gaze. He reflected it back. And that's when the flirtation starts to reverse. She begins to prove herself, filling the silence, trying to impress him. Without chasing, without lifting a finger, Victor just shifted the entire power dynamic. The psychology is ancient. Women flirt with men who create space for their emotions. When you show curiosity mixed with composure, you create that space. You're not pursuing her approval. You're inviting her into your world. The feminine energy wants to feel chosen with purpose, not absorbed by chaos. When you deliver this line, what she feels is direction. You're subtly saying, "I don't just react, I decide." That's what turns her curiosity into pursuit. Because once a woman feels your discernment, she starts performing not to gain your attention, but to keep it. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The same truth applies here. A woman cannot feel desire for a man who never creates contrast. This line is your contrast. It's your emotional challenge disguised as calm conversation. You're giving her something to rise to. You're offering her the thrill of uncertainty, and that uncertainty is where attraction lives. Because the feminine thrives in motion, and when she can't immediately categorize you, she starts to move toward you, to test, to tease, to flirt. So the next time you're talking to a woman who turns heads, don't fall into the trap of feeding her ego. Don't compliment what she already knows. Instead, stay quiet for a beat. Let your gaze hold hers steady, unhurried. Then say, "Let's see if you're as interesting as you look." That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You're inviting her to show up, and she will, because every woman, beneath all the bravado and control, craves a man who reminds her she's more than her looks. She wants to feel like she's being seen by someone who can't be seduced by surface. And the moment you become that man, she'll flirt not to be admired, but to be understood. Line 7, careful. You're starting to look like a distraction. Every man has a line where his control wavers, that point where attraction crosses into surrender, where his logic gives way to instinct, and his calm starts to crack. Most men hide from that line or stumble right over it. But the rare man, he walks right up to it, looks it dead in the eye and stops. Not because he's afraid to cross, but because he knows he could, and chooses not to. That's the essence of this line. Careful. You're starting to look like a distraction. It's not rejection, it's acknowledgement. It's the subtle reminder that while she may affect you, she'll never control you. You see, the feminine tests the masculine through temptation. Not always sexual, sometimes emotional, sometimes spiritual. She wants to feel that you can hold her energy without collapsing into it. When you deliver this line, you're showing her that you're aware of the tension and still in command of it. You're not pretending to be indifferent. You're owning your desire while staying grounded within it. And that's infinitely more seductive than any form of flattery. Because women aren't drawn to men who hide their attraction, they're drawn to men who can handle it. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This applies to emotion as much as pain. Attraction is pressure, tension, fire, and most men crumble under that heat. They either suppress it, pretending not to care, or they explode, trying to force connection. But the Stoic man simply endures it. He lets the desire exist without needing to resolve it. That's what makes him magnetic. Because a woman can feel when a man's restraint is real, when his calm is not cold, but controlled. She starts leaning closer, not because you're chasing, but because she wants to see how long you can hold that tension. Picture a man named Leo, 43, quiet, collected. He's sitting with a younger woman in a dimly lit bar. The chemistry is heavy, almost electric. Her voice softens, her gaze lingers, her hand brushes his. He feels the pull, but he doesn't move. He smiles, slow and deliberate, and says, "Careful, you're starting to look like a distraction." She laughs, but her eyes widen slightly because she feels the power in that restraint. It's not rejection, it's tension. It's the unspoken truth that he could have her, but he's choosing patience. And that, more than anything, makes her want him. The psychology is pure polarity. The feminine seeks expansion through emotion. The masculine seeks mastery through control. When those two energies meet, desire becomes alive. But when one collapses into the other, the polarity dies. That's why holding tension matters. It keeps the dance alive. By saying, "Careful, you're starting to look like a distraction." You're acknowledging the desire, framing it, but not giving into it. You've just taken the emotional upper hand, not through power, but through awareness. You've turned temptation into admiration. Seneca once said, "He who controls himself is the mightiest of all." Every great flirtation tests this truth, because the moment you lose control, whether through words, lust, or emotion, you lose the mystique that made her curious in the first place. But when you can desire without desperation, when you can enjoy tension without needing release, you become unforgettable. Because now you're playing a longer game, one she can feel but can't predict. You've given her something no one else does anymore, a taste of masculine restraint in a world of impulsive men. So when she's leaning close, laughing, touching your arm, whispering something suggestive, don't rush. Hold the silence. Let her feel your calm. Then look at her with that slow, knowing expression and say, "Careful, you're starting to look like a distraction." That's not a line, it's a mirror. It reflects back her own desire while showing her that you're still in control. And when she sees that, when she realizes she can't shake your frame, she'll start chasing your composure. Because for a woman, the most intoxicating man isn't the one who gives in easily. It's the one who could, but doesn't. If this message hit you, if something in you recognized the difference between the boy you've been and the man you're becoming, then don't let it fade. This is your reminder that attraction begins in silence. It begins in discipline. It begins in you. So if you're ready to stop chasing and start leading, hit that subscribe button. Join the brotherhood of men who no longer beg for attention, they command it by their presence. And in the comments, write this: "I am the calm in the chaos." Because once you understand that once you become that, you'll never have to chase again. You'll simply be